If you enjoy listening to The Edge, support them by subscribing to The Edge on iTunes, Stitcher, and you can listen through the iHeartRadio app. Get busy listening.
This is The Edge.
Edge-show.com.
Edge lubricates as it lathers.
Edge-show.com.
Listen to the phone side, then listen to the Edge side.
Edge-show.com.
Phone, Edge.
Edge-show.com.
This is The Edge.
Welcome to the show. This is Mark Thompson. I want to thank you for being here. What a weird week, and even our show has a little weirdness to it. And here's what I mean. We'll start the show as we always do with the Fast 15 with Michael Shure. We talk about politics and a couple of other things. But something weird happened right after we completed the Fast 15 with Michael Shure, a major event. And so we called Michael back into the studio. We referenced this in our conversation, so I won't say anything more about that. So that's super current, at least as of this moment, but things seem to be changing very quickly in Washington. But we're so lucky to have Michael Shure as part of our mix. He's a great political analyst, and he is, as I've said before, a guy without a particular political axe to grind. So then something else happened, and this is kind of really strange. We had a technical malfunction that prevented the release of a show months and months ago that I wanted to release with one of our favorite visitors, and that's Josh Robert Thompson. He's a brilliant mind. He has command of all these voices, and he's very funny, and just has great energy. And we had to essentially have something pulled apart and put back together so that we could recover the show with Josh Robert Thompson. It probably would have just been easier to call him and say, hey, something happened with the show. Can you come back in? But anyway, that show was recorded right after the new president, Donald Trump, was elected and sworn in. And so at the end of this show, you have a moment with the new president and his firing of James Comey, the FBI director. And then you have a flashback to him just having gotten in office. We don't talk a lot about it, but just to give you a sense of the moment in time during which we all had this conversation. Michael Shure joins me for the Fast 15. J. Elvis Weinstein joins me for the conversation with Josh Robert Thompson. How long is the Fast 15? Because we extended. Because why? Because I like to tell people how long something is to give them a sense of, if they want to skip ahead or something. People have to make plans. Okay, thank you. 21 and a half minutes is what I'm being told. All right, that's Michael. And then after that, you're on your own with Josh Robert Thompson. Hope you'll enjoy the show. Thank you for supporting us. All the ways you show us love, we do appreciate it. And now, let's get started.
This is The Edge.
Time for the Fast 15, politics and more with Michael Shure.
Wow. Mark, I got to tell you, it seems like it gets louder every week. They get more into it.
Didn't even wait for the intro. They were right on it.
Yeah.
I cherish and love the people who listen to this show. I can't keep a secret from our audience. We did a Fast 15 yesterday, and it's good, and everybody's going to hear it. There's some juicy, good stuff in there that puts a lot of stuff into perspective. Right after we did the Fast 15, within 2 hours, James Comey is fired as director of the FBI. And we couldn't put this show out without giving Michael Shure a chance to weigh in and, again, set the perspective and give us some sense for why it's important, what aspects of it are important. It seems unquestionably to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But try to prioritize the things about the Comey firing that we should focus on.
Well, what should we focus on? We should focus on the fact that in the middle of an investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia, the person heading that investigation was fired. That's the headline. Right? Fired by the White House. And if you look back, Sally Yates was fired by the White House. She testified the day before. Preet Bharara, investigating the White House, was fired by the White House, the U.S. Attorney in New York. This is part of a pattern, and it can't help but remind people of the Nixon White House. Whenever that happens, it's sort of like the Nazi Germany comparison in a small way. You don't want your administration compared that way. The timing of it is what the Republicans seem to be focusing on in the early going. Republican senators all questioning the timing, and you have to understand, they strategize together the best way to get our voices out there on this now is to question the timing. When you fire an FBI director, which has only ever happened once, ever, that was Bill Clinton firing Bill Sessions. When you do that, the timing is never right. So to focus on the timing is a bit of a cop-out. The question now, though, is you focus on how it happened and why it happened and what they had. And what we know now, Mark, is that Comey had asked for further resources. Those resources are space, people, assets to further the investigation, to widen it. And as soon as that happened, it seemed a week later, he's fired.
I want to go back and pick up on a couple of things you said. One is the Nixon White House. What you mean by that, I guess, is when Nixon fired the special prosecutor who was investigating Watergate.
Exactly.
That Archibald Cox, right? Why are you firing guy? Well, I mean, for it would seem obvious reasons. He's spearheading an investigation.
Right. And it's a small technicality. The president couldn't fire him. Nixon couldn't. So he went to his attorney general who said he'd rather resign than fire. He resigned. He went to the deputy attorney general, Bill Ruckelshaus, said, I'd like you to, no, he's not going to do it either. He resigned. And then finally he got Robert Bork at the Justice Department to do that. In any case, that's what you're compared to here. So that's what's known as the Saturday Night Massacre.
What about people who say, hey, look, Democrats, you were all bent out of shape about this guy Comey who seemed to throw the election for Donald Trump. You wanted him out, or you wanted him reprimanded, or you wanted an investigation. Well, finally, he's out. What's your issue?
Well, I think that there are some people that think that he wasn't very good at his job, and will be happy about that. But if this is obstruction of justice, which is at the end of everything what Bill Clinton was really impeached for, right? He lied, he perjured, all of that about his affair, and they got him on essentially obstruction of justice. Well, that's what this is too. It doesn't really matter that you're pissed at the guy if you stand by what you believe in. If you think Hillary Clinton would be president now were it not for James Comey, this is still offensive to you, what's happened at the White House.
The other news that's coming out, it's interesting that in a White House that's very closed, I mean, they really don't let journalists into much.
Not only, I have to interrupt you there, not only did they have a tough time at the White House with the media, but today, Sergei Lavrov, who is the foreign minister of Russia, visiting the White House, only Russian press was allowed in. The only pictures that we have are from the Russian press who were allowed in. The U.S. press wasn't even allowed into that today. So this is unlike anything anyone alive certainly has seen at the White House.
And this Sergei Lavrov, he's a character in this investigation that's going on.
These are unbelievable optics. The only thing on Trump's schedule today, the only thing that was on his public schedule was meeting with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov of Russia the day after he fired. And, Trump and apparently Spicer and apparently Pence, everybody very surprised at the reaction that's come from this. And I think it's amazing that they're surprised, that there's going to be enormous blowback to the president because of this.
What I was going to say about the closed White House pertains to the fact that we're getting word out that the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, was sort of given the charge, find a reason to get rid of FBI Director James Comey.
Right.
That reminds me of a much darker thing, or perhaps equally dark thing, and that is if you read about the war in Iraq. In the early days prior to Iraq, the Bush administration, Cheney really spearheading that.
Right.
Key players in the Bush administration were told, find a reason for us to go into Iraq. We feel Iraq is and then you hear all the different things.
Right.
Linchpin to this, an outpost for democracy, whatever the thing is. But so when he was told, give us an excuse to get rid of Comey, the point is, reverse engineer it. We're going to get rid of Comey. Tell us why we can.
Right. Yeah. And that's what Rosenstein's letter, which you should all read. You should read the letter of dismissal from the president and Rosenstein's letter. That's basically what it shows, is exactly what you're saying. And I hadn't made that connection to Iraq, but it's pretty profound.
So Comey's agreed to testify.
It would probably be a closed, I'm guessing, testimony that he gives to the Select Committee on Intelligence, telling them what's going on and what he knows, to take place next week. I'd be surprised if that's an open testimony, though.
Listen, as egregious as this may be, and as offensive as it may be, and as wrong as it may be, objectively, they've done it. And look, as wrong as it might be that the president didn't release his tax returns when he was running for that office, he did it.
Yeah.
There is a quality of FU that this administration has to protocol and maybe some would say to law, right? Law that can be interpreted. There's a gray area to a lot of law. I'm asking you to sort of size it up, and this just all happened, I know. But in this snapshot moment, will this have permanence? Will this stink clear because of the next big thing? Will there be a wag the dog moment that'll nudge this off?
Listen, they can distract with the next big thing. Afghanistan, whatever it is a big thing. The escalation there a little bit, bringing troops back in. I don't see how this becomes minimized, though. This is the kind of thing that stays with an administration for a while. And for an administration who has a Republican Congress that is hanging on by a thread, not because their majority is thread-like, in the Senate it's a little thread-like, but in the House it's not, but their allegiance to this White House is thread-like. Eventually, they're going to lose some people off the reservation. That could be here. Now, of course, only Congress and the Attorney General can appoint a special prosecutor, but Congress can do it. And if that's what happens, and if this was only the beginning of this investigation and the naivete of this junior White House is that, oh, we can get rid of him and then it goes away, that's absurd because the investigation will continue. The White House today saying there's no real reason to continue this.
Well, there's other stuff going on, and it's funny. We're talking about one thing nudging another thing out of the headlines and out of the focus of media. I want to quickly run through some stuff and maybe give us a sense of what's happening and why it's important. Everything plays as the biggest headline ever. I wonder if you can give us some relative importance. So why don't we start with the Capitol Hill hearings involving Michael Flynn and the Russians? What happened and why do we care?
Well, we care that Michael Flynn did not disclose to the White House at any time his having been in contact and even having been a paid contact for Russians. And why this is important is that there are some things that rise above partisanship, which a generation of people who follow politics now, that are new to it now, do not remember because it's been so long. And that's what's important. Sally Yates, who was appointed acting Attorney General by President Obama before the Trump administration took over, she was protecting Mike Pence. So here's a Democrat who is essentially saying, you know what, there's somebody who's being lied to, who doesn't know he's being lied to and is operating without the full truth. And so she wanted to expose that. She wanted to talk about that. That is not something you see all the time. And you're right. Day to day, the news changes. We move on to the next subject. There's no pause. We don't sit and ruminate over these things. So it just seems like, okay, we had these hearings. We move on. We move on. We move on. The lesson from this is the way a productive Washington works. And Republicans, I think, are paying attention. I think when you saw some of them upbraided by Sally Yates and some of them sort of take umbrage with what DNI Clapper had said, former DNI Clapper, I think you start paying attention to that. And I think Republicans are, in combination with health care, what they're hearing in their town halls when they go home, right now are starting to pay attention to the fact that they need to rise above some of this. Sometimes I credit Sally Yates. I credit the conversation that Jimmy Kimmel started. All these things are starting to reawaken that a little bit. I don't have great confidence it'll stick, but it's important.
To rise above the partisanship is what you mean.
Yeah, not just even to rise above the partisanship, to see that when there is not partisanship, to recognize that partisanship does not always work.
It's not in everything that happens.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be in everything that happens, and it seems like it is. It's everybody's reflex. It's everybody's default, and rightly so, because it's all we're exposed to. We just came off of a very contentious election, both within the parties and in the general election. It didn't end when the primaries ended. So I think that's the big lesson. It's a subtle one, but it's an important one.
The other headline that hit me was about the Kushners. The Kushner family, they're big real estate developers like Donald Trump. Before the election, I mean, if you could look at the holdings that the Trump family had and you could look at the holdings internationally and not see that there were just a nest of conflicts. I mean, first of all, there were tons of articles written on it and tons of things written on it. Then you really just weren't looking at things, or it was some kind of blind faith that would all work itself out. It was impossible to work it all out with all the holdings that he has. But sort of put that aside for a moment. Into the Trump administration comes his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's part of Kushner family, which is a huge real estate development family like the Trumps.
And real estate ownership family. They don't only develop, they own and buy buildings and sell them as well.
And so they're in the news now because it would appear that there's a relationship there between other family members. Of course, Jared Kushner is still part of the family, too, and you would presume he's connected to all this, and the Chinese. Try to sort some of that out for us.
Well, what it shows is that if you keep too much... Listen, they're questionable dealings. We knew about them during the election. This is a roundabout way of answering your question, but I think it's important to include revelations that came out that Eric Trump gave an interview, that's Donald Trump's younger son, gave an interview to a golf magazine in 2014 saying that the Russians have invested so heavily in the Trump resorts, especially the golf resorts and whatnot, which of course is what a lot of people thought anyway. It was not really a throwaway, but it was a small article. It was in a golf magazine. You cut to then the Kushner family, who is inextricably tied, as you say, to the Trumps, right? And because of the fact that Ivanka Trump is married to Jared Kushner. And you see their dealings with China. So when none of this is fleshed out and none of it is transparent, it automatically creates this issue of wonder. It goes to the tax releases. Why hasn't he released his taxes? Well, presumably because so much Russian money came into his businesses that he didn't want people to know about that. I don't know if that's true, but we can presume it. Same thing with the Kushners. If they're very close to China for some reason, and they're getting Chinese money, and there are Chinese favors, and there are things that they have in common with the Chinese, then those are things that Americans should know. And they inform his politics because he keeps his family so close. Kushner has an office in the White House. Ivanka has an office in the White House. While Eric Trump has nothing to do with the White House, per se, officially, he's there all the time. He's with his father all the time. These things are really important.
In the case of the Kushners, there was that visa program, the EB-5 visa program, that is offered to those who invest $500,000 or more in different businesses in the U.S. The idea was to try to prompt investment from China to get industries and economic situations that would otherwise lack funding, some funding from overseas. So in other words, it was kind of designed to, I think, get those troubled businesses back on their feet if they were American. Instead, in this case, it looks like the Kushners are saying, hey, guess what? You got to cash in on that EB-5 visa program and invest in some of these properties, and there are a couple of them in New Jersey.
Right. Well, that's exactly right. So they used it to their advantage. And, it's funny. There was always this flap about whether or not we should give China most favored nation status, right? Well, in private business, the Kushners, who are now related to the president, basically gave them most favored nation status on their own because of this. And they're reaping the benefits of that because they're going into a law and it's profiting them in New Jersey.
I want to ask you about this election in France.
Yeah.
So what happened in France, as I understand it, was the nationalist right-wing candidate, if you will, / Trump, right, who was speaking that kind of Trumpian language.
Speaking it it's funny, in the past in much more direct and blatant ways, and currently in much more subtle ways than Trump. So it's interesting. They used to actually be much more specific about their nationalism, let's say. And this time they were a little more vague about it at different times as well.
How important is the outcome of that election in France?
On its own...
the guy who was elected is a centrist.
Macron, yeah.
Macron, yes.
And yeah, he's a centrist, but a centrist in Europe is different than we see a centrist here. He was not a socialist candidate, but he certainly was not on the far right, and he's probably going to be able to govern more to the left because of the way that the right was repudiated. And that remains to be seen. So, does it matter? We don't know enough about French politics to say how much in France it's going to matter, the agriculture of the north and the bourse and what the effect is going to be there. But what we do know is that now we've seen in Austria with Hofer losing there, the far-right candidate. You go to Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, and then you go to France. These nationalist parties have been repudiated. They've lost. Yes, have they done well? Is it shocking that they got 40% of the vote sometimes in different races? Yes, of course it is. But they've been repudiated. And that comes after Brexit, and that comes after Donald Trump winning. So in a reactionary way, I think it's reassuring, if nothing else. So I think that's what makes it important. I don't know the details of how it's going to affect French politics so much, but I don't think that's important from afar.
Right, and that really wasn't even what I was asking.
No, I know. I just appropriated it. You don't have to snap at me.
Last thing, I want to mention something that's happening, and it really is a concern, and it's been of concern to me for many years, and it's about the media. Media conglomerates have been growing in size for a long time now. Actually, Bill Clinton was the guy who really, permitted the additional purchase of television stations to the point that, you could have these dominant empires of media acquisition of the sort that you see from various companies like Fox. And there's another company called Sinclair, and they're broadcasters that have a right-wing bent, and they want that right-wing bent in the way they present information. They now are buying a bunch of stations and they're going to become, with that purchase, almost as dominant as Fox in terms of the number of stations they own. So now you have, leave aside the politics, because I really don't even care. If they were left-leaning, it would still bother me, because I don't want information as a citizen in the hands of just a couple of people, a handful of corporate overlords, and that's what we have. That Sinclair purchase and the way these media companies are merging, you see it as troubling as well?
Yeah, how can you not? I mean, I think it's really troubling. From a business standpoint, I understand why they're doing it and why right-wing is more appealing. Right-wing does better. Right-wing enjoys an echo chamber. Left-wing doesn't like to be told what to think. They don't march, generally speaking, in lockstep with one another. It's not as good a business plan, right? The model isn't as good. So from a business standpoint, I understand it. But yeah, that it's allowed and that there is so much corporate control of media. Now, here's the other side of that coin, and I may get sort of blowback on this, but on every level, it's not like the people at General Electric or actually Comcast now go into the newsroom every night and say, hey, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say that, right? But the way that the news delivery is structured in a way that makes the corporation do better. So it's not the minutia. And so that, even if it leaves people uncomfortable, even if they are wrong and they're uncomfortable, it's bad. And so it has to be reined in. How it's reined in within the structure of capitalism is tough to say, though.
Yeah. That competition between media companies is also always viewed as important to the democracy.
Correct.
I mean, since the beginning of time.
Yeah. And literally the beginning of Time magazine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. In the modern era, this is unthinkable what's happening.
No, it is. But
why did Bill Clinton do it?
Well, I don't know that he did it because it hurt him more than anything, because the consolidation of right-wing radio, which is how it started, and all these radio stations being bought up by groups like Sinclair, by Clearcast at that time, by Chris Kraft at that time, that was really detrimental to Clinton, who was being hammered by right-wing media throughout his presidency at the dawn of it. I mean, Rush Limbaugh made a name. We didn't know very much about it until Clinton became president. Why did he do it? He probably did it because and I don't know the answer to this, but there's a free market aspect to it, which is something that Clinton was, backing at the time, and the FCC at that time. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I know that they were trying to strengthen the role of the FCC as well, and the FCC came in and said, in order to do that, we need to sort of deregulate and allow people to be able to do this. It was an ill-advised decision, but it does sort of run counter to not do it. I guess the argument was that it ran counter to free market, and I don't know that that's true.
Here's what you could do now after the fact. You could break it up like any monopoly gets broken up. I mean, things get done. But here's why that's hard. Because in this new media environment, television stations, while very powerful, lack a lot of the luster that they used to have, meaning people are more on the digital platforms.
Correct.
So the bloated prices that are associated with having these different television stations, probably you won't fetch them these days.
No, that's true. And that was why it was refreshing to so many when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, right? Because, while he's a wealthy guy and there were people who were skeptical of his agenda, at least it was maintaining something that nobody understood why we were maintaining. So the
right. In other words, the Post was not viewed economically viable, but it was an important thing.
Correct. And he, the thought was that he would be the one who led it into the digital age, and he put up paywalls and things like that. So I don't know. I'm not expert enough on this to know, but yes, that it has to be addressed. And I think the address is not just breaking up the monopoly, but also limiting what you can do. You can limit the amount without breaking up businesses.
Which is, by the way, the way it used to be. You could only have 5 television stations, and I mean, just put a limit on it.
Yeah.
And again, we got to wrap up. But look, this idea that free market, our markets are anything but free in a lot of different areas. We have price support set up in most of agriculture is price supported. So this idea somehow, you got to let it free market.
Well, of course, it's absurd, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, that was the overriding theme in boosting the economy out of the George H.W. Bush years. Clinton won on the economy, so encouraging it in any way seemed probably a good idea at that time.
I have one last item.
Let's hear it.
I need something that's not political.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Older people are not getting married. These people who have lost a spouse or that for whatever reason they're older and they're single, they are not getting married. 75-year-olds, they're not. Far more accepting now of people turning 60 and single. Karen Cantor, for instance, had divorced twice after long marriages. 38 years in total she was married. When she met this guy, Mr. Tobin, as he's called.
It's not great anonymity.
She met him on Match.com.
Right. The early bird special.
Our life is good together, so why disturb it? I just don't see the importance of that piece of paper. Mr. Tobin, also divorced after a long marriage, wouldn't mind marrying his partner. Oh, it sounds like she doesn't want to get married.
Right. Well, she's been down the road twice.
Yeah. He actually proposed on bended knee once. Wow.
Huh.
She said no.
Are you saying wow that Mr. Tobin's still able to bend his knees? Or are you saying wow that he actually did it?
Michael Shure, everybody.
Thank you.
Come on. Thanks, Michael. Michael Shure.
edge-show.com. edge-show.com. The hyphen is stupid. edge-show.com.
You have a character named Spongy, don't you?
I do I? Sure.
Don't you or not?
No, but I do now, I guess.
Sure.
I thought you were
Who
doing
am I
improv.
thinking of?
No, Snorky.
Snorky
Lopez.
not Spongy.
But he
Yeah,
yes
Snorky
anded
Lopez.
Spongy.
That's what I thought.
So.
Yeah, that's right. I thought Mark was setting me up for
That's right.
You have a character called Spike, right?
Behind me.
Hello, everybody.
Why so abrasive?
Now, wait a minute. That's only one of your sides.
Folks, it's Spongy.
Spongy Gomez, isn't that who it is?
That's right,
It's
Mark.
Snorky Lopez, Cole. Thanks for
What's
watching.
up, guys? Snorky Lopez here.
Your show's racist, bro.
Please welcome a returning champion to the Edge. It is Josh Robert Thompson, everybody.
yeah.
Come on.
Josh Robert
Thompson.
Thompson and Thompson back again in the morning or the evening. It's a podcast. Whenever you want to listen, it's always available in your pocket. On the go, it's Mark T.
Josh Robert Thompson.
How you doing?
Super creative, bizarre, and otherwise man of voices and of comedy and weirdness and of every conceivable platform. I mean, if you just when you thought it was Periscope where you could find him,
Periscope.
He's blowing up Facebook Live now.
You are huge in non-existent media.
That's where I
They're
am.
Just like you're the king of fake media.
You can
even.
find me there. Periscope, not anymore. It's Facebook Live.
I do subdued Trump, by the way. I like after he won how he became subdued Donald Trump.
Right.
There's no more yelling. Everything's very quiet. It's going to be great. Things are going to be good. I believe in the people. I believe in Mark Thompson. He's a great guy.
I like the show and tell signings now too, where he holds up the bill that he just
oh, yeah,
signed
yeah,
to
yeah,
show
yeah.
everyone in the room like he's reading a children's book.
Well, this is what we're dealing with now. Well, if I may say, the people that elected Mr. Trump into office, I think many of them do need things held up and shown to them.
This
in
is
that
the
manner.
My Pet Goat bill.
Well, to be
A
fair,
is for Arnold.
we have a lot of listeners who did support Trump because they hated Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Of course, both candidates were hated pretty much, so everybody was... I understand that not everybody hated Hillary Clinton. I know that not everybody hated Donald Trump, but there was a lot of hate. And
Sure. I'm not saying everybody is a douchebag. I'm saying there are people who are douchebags.
a lot of people voted just because they said this is the lesser of two evils. I wonder what that's like to ride into office. By the way, he was written in with record disapproval and having lost the popular vote. And yet it's like there's a mandate, right? We've got Washington and now we're going to do whatever the fuck we want.
Ridden in. I thought you meant what vehicle, because I was thinking of Arnold in a Hummer. That's how he would do it.
Oh, my God, yes.
If I was elected president of the United States of America, I would come in the big Hummer, the H4 or whatever the number is now. Big presentation. And I would hold up the bills, and I would always hold them. I would wear them around my neck like bling. I say, look, this is what I signed. Look at this.
I watched Celebrity
Why?
Apprentice. And I watched it religiously when it was Trump, and now I still watch it.
What religion is that, by the way?
And it's typical Arnold, except he's constantly referring to the bodybuilding competitions.
Really?
Like, as far as competition, this is a guy who ran for governor. I mean, he's been in
Not
other...
ran, was the governor.
He's been in other competitions besides bodybuilding, and yet in the boardroom, he talks about bodybuilding. You know, when we're working
Let
on
me
the
tell you something.
Biggest movie star in the world for a while.
Exactly. Doing this show is like coming with a woman. When I'm bodybuilding, it is like I'm coming. When I am coming with a woman, this is when I'm coming. When I'm here on the show, it's like I'm coming. I'm always coming. It's fantastic. Yeah. Save it.
There are two things. Picking them up in those celebrities as they look into Arnold's eyes. Oh, my God.
I mean, you know, how do you feel about yourself when you're I know it's a gag. It's kind of for fun, but I mean, who's on that show? Who are some of the celebs?
Snooki Lopez from no.
Okay,
no.
wait a minute.
No, what's her?
Snorky Lopez.
No, it's not Snorky. I'm deliberately blowing it. It's Snooki from
Polizzi?
Jersey Shore.
How do I know her last name? I want to ask myself that.
But she's not. They don't call her Snooki on the show. They call her by her real first name.
Angela?
Oh,
That's
geez,
not
okay.
her name. Is it?
Is
that her name?
I don't know, but you could have sold it.
I don't know. Angela Carmine Rodrigo Polizzi. How you doing, Polizzi?
Wouldn't it be great when she was on the show, she spoke with a British accent or something, and the whole thing was an act?
Hello,
It would be great. In fact, that would be the only way that she could spin it into great.
So what are you doing, Mark? You're switching back and forth between The Bachelor and that?
I switched between The Bachelor and that.
Oh, my
God.
You have cable, right?
What's going on, bro?
Yeah.
Apple TV or like a Roku or something? Did you get something else you can...
God, it's pretty. But the last thing, I think I've told Josh Robert Thompson this offline, but I'm going to share it with our big audience because I know no one's watching Celebrity Apprentice, as Donald Trump will tell you.
Numbers are so low. It's so bad. We had 40 billion people show up at that inauguration. 40 billion.
None of them Celebrity Apprentice viewers.
Absolutely not. These are all great people.
The way he says goodbye to people used to be that you're fired.
Oh,
You should have kept you're fired.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get rid of you're fired. But instead...
Now it's not a tumor.
Wait, what? I didn't know about that.
Just as bad, you're terminated.
Oh, okay.
And then he says, head to the chopper. Honestly, that's what he says.
You're terminated. Get to the chopper.
And there is a real chopper standing by.
Apparently.
That's kind of a little perk.
You know, they play the music heavy. And when you're watching Celebrity Apprentice with Trump, it really is like a heavy moment. People were brought to tears in that boardroom. Didn't want to get
I was
fired.
brought to tears in my home.
This man wept openly.
You had other stuff going on that night, you remember.
That's true.
Anyway, because you take that heavy situation, you throw in head to the chopper, and you're terminated, and it becomes cartoonish.
A lot of strong emotions.
Really? Is that really where it breaks?
You're right, a little before that.
Did you ever see Batman and Robin by any chance?
A little before that.
The Iceman cometh. Everybody chills.
And then,
my wife, my beautiful wife, I must save her. She has this disease that Alfred also happens to have.
And every second that Michael Gough, the famous British actor who played Alfred in those films, every time he's on camera in that movie, he has to billboard way over the top that he's clearly dying from a disease in every scene.
Right.
Oh, take care of yourself, Mr. Wayne.
Hey, Alfred, are you all right?
I'm fine, Mr. Wayne. My wife.
I just watched Arthur.
That's what it was. 2. I just watched Arthur 2 on the rocks. I really did. I don't want to apologize for that.
You know, that strikes me as an easy impression, Dudley Moore.
Does it?
Really?
Am I wrong?
Is it just, can you do one?
No, I can't. But I'll tell you why I say that, because at the time, Dudley Moore, you were just a youngster. But when Dudley Moore came out with Arthur, the first one, he was on the talk show circuit everywhere playing it. And then...
Yeah, there was a lot of that sort of...
right.
We recently had the whole country carpeted.
There it is. Is that it? I mean, I'm sure.
It's
No,
closer
that's
than
it.
yours,
That's,
actually.
okay, great. All
No,
right.
he didn't really do one. He just sort of did it.
I didn't know what I was
Don't
doing.
insult
He
the
hates it.
guest.
He
How
hates
dare
it when
you?
I was
No,
wrong.
I what? No.
Yeah.
See, but that was the thing with Carson. We were talking about that with Pollock, is that Carson always had to try the impression that the guest was doing on the panel.
Right.
He would always take a swing at it.
Let me, now this is, now you do I understand you do a very good Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would like, if I could, I'm just going to try here. Get to the chopper. Right? Pretty good.
Yes. You know, you had to clap for Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was, that's true.
He'd have the impressionists try to teach him how to do the impression sometimes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, didn't Albert Brooks go on and he used to do those, take like a hot potato and
Yes.
that it would,
Right.
that would
The Three
create an
Stooges.
impression.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Yeah. The James Mason with like a lemon or something like
Yeah.
that.
Those are great.
That's what was
appearances.
entertaining. I just look back and go, wow, that was supremely funny to me as a kid. And it's still very
And
funny.
the thing about Brooks is that he only created those bits for panels.
Right.
He only did it he didn't do stand up at that point.
No, you're right.
He only created these bits for the show.
Didn't and Steve Martin as well did the Great Flydini? Wasn't that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for
No, but he
Carson?
performed that
Did
live.
he perform
too,
that
yeah.
live? I didn't
Yeah.
remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't around.
He did
yet.
that at Hermosa and stuff. A few
Okay.
times.
Saw that at Hermosa.
Hermo.
You guys ever get to Hermosa? You guys ever get down there?
I can do, excuse me, that's an impression of someone from Hermosa.
I I don't know what's happening in here.
Understand you do a little something from Hermosa, do you?
Yes, Johnny. Yes, I do. In fact, I have a potato chip here.
You kind of do a dude from Hermosa.
Yeah, I do a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of a bit I'm working on. I don't know if anybody wants to hear it.
Oh, you want to hear it?
Okay. Hey, I miss those days.
So here's what's happened with Josh Robert Thompson. He has blown up in the platform that you see advertised everywhere. And I'm talking about Facebook Live.
Facebook Live. You've seen the commercial. Here I am giving my daughter a bath. Hey, I'm juggling. And all the comments are like, you suck, but you're still great. It's all that. I love it. That's not what I'm doing.
But it is true. There's a lot of mundane stuff being shown on Facebook Live. This is me making coffee. This is me. That's the kind of stuff I would do if I were on Facebook Live.
This is me with a Chewbacca mask on in my car.
10-year-old with a tape recorder.
But Josh Robert Thompson has it's a whole production if you watch it. It's like a real
production.
It's a show.
Well, it's because last time I was on, I talked about the old public access days. I used to do a lot of public access TV, and it's just kind of an extension of that. I mean, and there's a new camera that came out made by Livestream, which is called Mevo, M-E-V-O, and it's one camera that allows you to do up to 9 shots, but with one camera. You don't need to go out and get all these different devices. So that really appealed to me. I thought, well, now I can do something that's semi-professional online instead of Periscope, which is just, hey guys, I'm driving to Hermosa. Can you guys hear me all right? Cool.
Periscope is guerrilla TV, sort of like it's just sort of
pretty much
point and shoot.
It's Twitter. It's basically Twitter TV. That's their
right. But I don't quite understand the Mevo thing. There are 9 shots that are all controlled by
by usually the iPad or the iPhone.
So where do the cameras? Where are the lenses?
It's one shot. It's one giant sort of fisheye lens shot, beautiful HD shot, and then it takes that existing super wide shot and allows you to compartmentalize it into smaller shots.
So it's not actually a fisheye shot because that would distort everything.
It does a little bit in the full wide.
Okay.
It does. Like the edges are definitely, because that's in order to give you more space.
It's all from one single perspective,
That's
right?
exactly
so you can just
right.
show different sizes.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's not like you can do an overhead shot or anything like that. But I'm always playing with it and picking it up off of its little tripod and going into different rooms and experimenting with it. And one of the shows I do is with my preacher character, the Reverend Apostle BG, and the numbers have just been going up and up. I take phone calls from around the world, and it's a pretty wild new way to kind of connect with people.
Where does the Reverend Apostle, what number do they call?
Well, it's a Skype line. It's a Skype phone line. Skype is a means of communicating with people around the world, Mark.
The Lord provided you.
The Lord came to me when I was on the crapper and said, "Hey, dude, you gotta register for that number. It costs a little bit of money, so every year, takes out of my bank account. People call the number."
Do you ask people for money? A lot of preachers do.
I do. I have. Sure. The money rolls in. It's funny. People do pay for it through PayPal. So I've been able to, which I never could in public access TV, is have a wider audience and turn a little bit of a profit every week.
Well,
nice.
A little background on Josh Robert Thompson. He shot a pilot, very elaborate pilot with animation and great lighting and cinematography. It's very funny, by the way. All of that was paid for with crowdfunding that you did off Periscope.
Yeah, the post-production was paid for definitely by crowdfunding, which was amazing. And then I thought, well, why don't I just keep sort of using the characters from the pilot in these live shows to just start introducing those characters to more and more people? Why wait for us to sell the show? So it's actually worked. The last show had 10,000 views, for a live show on Facebook.
10,000 views.
I mean, and it was about 6,000 live. The rest were from the replay. But for Facebook on a Thursday at 7:30 p.m., and most people don't, it's becoming like an appointment show for people because they can call in and interact.
I see.
That's why.
Now, do you check out the other shows on Facebook Live? I mean, what kind of other shows are showing up there?
Mostly it's like how public access used to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot of religious shows. It's a lot of people with super bad lighting or one light or no light. Hi, guys. Welcome to my show. We're going to be talking about pottery. And, oh, hey, Denise. And it's people getting distracted every 5 seconds by the people commenting because you see the comments going up the screen. That's all these shows are. So I really want to talk about politics today in terms of Donald Trump's policies. Oh, hey, Mark, how's it going? Hey, Zero Face 52, what's up? Anyway, so what I was saying about, hey, Janice, how you doing? How's your daughter? Is she good? Anyway, so Trump, I mean, that's 3 hours of that show.
Yeah.
So I think the stigma is
It's not a good one because people became really annoyed with Facebook Live because I think they were forcing people who had Facebook to see these broadcasts. Like you couldn't not see them; they would come up automatically.
Right? They come up in the top line. They're clearly showcasing that.
So people were like, "Is it like that?" Because I don't want to do it. And then trying to get Periscope people to go to Facebook has been really funny because they're like, "I'm not going over there because my grandma could see that I'm there." Because they can't troll anymore.
There is an anonymous quality to Twitter and Periscope, because Periscope's a Twitter thing, that people like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the garbage people hang out.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
But
Like
it does
me, for
change
example.
Well, yes, but
yeah, it's great. Look, obviously you found this great. I don't even know the Facebook Live deal. Like, I don't know how you'd build that. Did you build a huge Facebook audience initially, or was this a whole new audience?
This is a whole new audience. Most of these people are not from the Late Late Show, Craig Ferguson days. You know, those people have packed up and left. There's still a few people there. But most of those people are like, what is that? Where is the skeleton and the Craig? And oh, no. You know, they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're gone or they're around. They just, you know, and that's fine. Not everyone has to like everything that I do.
They've made the move with you. They're like, great.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have. But I brought a lot of people over from Periscope, which I think is a big win for me. That's all I ever wanted to do was sort of restart, rebuild, find a new audience. And it worked. It's actually working, which is amazing, especially with that character. I think right now, because of everything happening in this country, with the election, with the new president, with just everything, people like this character because he just says everything. Last week I went straight into hell. I went into the fiery pits of hell and wrestled the devil himself live. It was this big demon puppet I have from Halloween. And by the way, I'm directing the show and doing the music and taking the phone calls and doing the lighting all at the same time while I'm hosting the show and doing the shtick. So it's really, for me, a perfect thing for me because I'm able to just sort of run the whole show myself.
See, this is a thing that you have to know about Josh Robert Thompson. A lot of people
He
go,
has control issues.
That's exactly right.
But he wants to create and be the creator. Yeah. This medium now allows you to control those things.
Yeah, and in a way that's very inexpensive. I mean, I didn't want to buy 3 cameras. I didn't want to get live stream studio. I didn't want to put thousands of dollars into that because I knew that I was really trying to. The goal was really just to promote and put my stuff out there. But I did spend some money on the camera. I mean, it was still a gamble. But it's paid off. I'm surprised by it.
How long have you been up on Facebook Live with regular shows?
Since probably September of last year.
You're saying it's all paid itself?
Yeah.
Off.
I mean, the camera just came out last August. And I've been working with them, calling them, talking to them, fixing little things, giving them feedback on it. I love it. I think for me, I think it's great. For what I want to do, it's great. It may not be great for someone else, but then they can just go to Periscope and talk about their day.
The other stuff that Josh does, regularly, is he does a lot of voice work and voice doubling, and you hear him on a bunch of shows, from Family Guy to some film that you don't even realize you're hearing him because
I
you're
just
doubling
played a terrorist recently on Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Very proud of that. I also played the co-pilot at the same time. So it's kind of a little bit of multitasking there.
That's
it was a tough gig.
Got to be a kick to work on that show. And you do on-camera stuff as well.
Yeah, I do.
And you have a show that we talked about that, the pilot, and I've been waiting to hear some good news on that. I don't know if you can share it with our audience, but we all...
Oh, they don't want to hear this.
Oh.
Come on, guys.
Everybody wants to.
All right, well, here's what happened. Sounds like David Spade. All right. I made the show over 2 years ago. We shot the show. And then all of 2016 was just trying to find a place that would want to take on the show and make a development deal. Just in other words, take my show and go to the networks and try to pitch it to them. And
so
I needed
this show,
someone.
Just to remind everybody, this show is kind of like a mix of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Dean Martin's old show where he comes down the stairs with a drink and a cigarette.
That's it. Yeah. It's a very adult sort of kids show in that way. Barron will love it. And I'm so sorry. Later tonight, I'll be doing a apology scope with J. Elvis. We're going to be doing one together.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time. It's been long in the making. But I finally, after a whole year of going to different networks and places and trying to get someone to intervene and help me with this, we made the deal with Lionsgate Television. So very excited, and we've already started the process of sending it out to different networks. So we'll see what happens.
So with Lionsgate, the head of the spear, it's the same thing. Now you just call on all these different places that potentially could be places.
Yeah, and they send me the list, and it was everybody. It was all the big streaming places, and then of course all the networks. Not network TV, but cable and those things. We'll see what happens now, but it's good to have someone like Lionsgate or someone like that in your corner, because I can't really go out myself. I mean, I could stand on the street and be like, "Hey, you want to buy a pilot?"
No, it's a huge credibility.
It is.
To it.
It is,
and it gives whoever's buying it the studio to lay it off to.
That's true, and they really love it. Like, they're not BSing me. They really think it's a great pilot, and that means a lot to me.
When you go to a meeting with these guys, do you feel like a sense that you have to perform, take something out of your magic performance bag?
It depends. Not with the Lionsgate. That's just like friends, and we became the people that I'm working with over there. We became very good friends immediately. They just got it. You said Dean Martin, Mr. Rogers, like they were of the Carol Burnett era. They totally just got it, and that's important. But it depends on who I go meet with. We might say, "Hey,
Josh, this is your manager. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do some of your impressions. All right, you go in the room. Don't mention ham sandwiches, okay? The exec doesn't like ham. It's a whole thing, okay? Please, whatever you do, don't mention ham sandwiches."
That's what I'll get that pepped
you'll
up.
Get that. You'll get the whole.
Please, God.
On this one, we're going to do this.
But
this,
yes,
and this,
you have to go into the room and perform.
That's right.
Yes, for sure.
Hey, guys, ham sandwiches, huh?
Son of a bitch! I like your moxie, kid. We'll buy it.
Because that happened. That's how that works, by the way.
Right,
also, people online, people, fans, people that follow me, my viewers on Periscope, were always constantly giving me very helpful, and I put that in heavy quotes, helpful advice on how to sell my show. And one guy said, it's a running gag now on my streaming show. You should call Netflix. Have you tried calling them? So I'll just pick up my phone and I'll say, "Yeah, hey Netflix, hey, Josh Robert Thompson, anyway, hey, what's up?" So I got this show. What's that? My current plan, $7.99 a month. Hello, and that's the extent of the phone call.
Yeah,
that's what they think you can do. That's not how it works.
And relatives can be guilty of this, too.
Yeah.
Like, Josh, you're so talented. You should have your own show. Have you thought about that?
My grandfather just turned 90 last year, and I went back to Cleveland for his 90th birthday party. And there's all these people there, most of them in wheelchairs. I remember your grandfather from... What? Can you help her with her wheelchair? That was the whole day, and it was great. And I had a great time. I really did. But in the middle of this whole party, my grandfather pulls me aside and says, "I want to speak to you for a minute. Come here, walk with me." Now, when Grandpa says walk with me, you're about to get a lecture of some sort. But, I mean, it was within earshot of everybody at the party. So he's standing there and he goes, when you and Craig Ferguson were touring, I came to one of your shows out here. And, you don't need to work so blue. The old comics of the old days, they didn't work blue. I've seen some of your nasty material online. And my grandfather, Harrison Ford, by the way. George Lucas. What were we? I did a movie called Hollywood Homicide. It was a great movie with Josh Hartnett. It was a great film. What's that? I'm stoned out of my fucking mind. Help me. But that's what Grandpa, you get the advice from people like, here's what you should do. Don't work blue. I got a great idea. Here's something you should be doing. And the religious stuff, since I play the preacher character, has been a big source of contention for a lot of folks back home in Ohio.
Well, that's why you're so great with it, because you were brought up with that.
That's right. It's all from my grandmother's Pentecostal church.
I mean, it's brilliant. And you can't memorize some of that stuff. You just have to have it in you.
I love it. I love preachers. I do. I think that's why I started doing stand-up or comedy or acting or performing, because that's what that is. I mean, I would argue that...
you have, like, one of your greatest gifts is flow, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, flow?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You mean the...
once you're in an impression, you can keep talking
that character.
In character, bringing funny in character.
And that's like 45 minutes every week.
Yeah.
It's not all good, but it's a chance to... It's like a workout, but online.
I mean flow in that rap way.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, you're right, man.
No, because I be flowing, you know, with Mark Thompson. You know what I'm saying,
baby,
man?
right back at you,
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, man. I love the flow. You know what I'm saying? Golden shower, baby. What's up? What's up, Trump? There go my boy right there. Get yourself a turkey baster. I pee first, and then I get the turkey base. I go, let's do it slow, you know? Hey, what's up, man? All right.
See, flow is what I'm saying.
You see what I did there? J. Elvis. I tightened it up, man. What's up? This coffee's shit, man. Go ahead, what's up?
I took him to the coffee machine, which is, like...
Did he turn it into a little bit when he took it to the coffee machine?
I love that guy. That guy is all over the internet. Oh, are you going to do something funny today, Mr. Josh?
Maybe you should do your impressions instead of talking about politics.
That's the best one. Oh, I've seen people say that to you. A similar.
Oh, sure.
Why don't you know what? Stick with being funny, all right? Because this ain't working.
Stick with being my least favorite Tom Servo, huh?
Josh, J. Elvis Weinstein got a little love in the Magic Coffee Room because there was a guy there, and I introduced Josh and mentioned Mystery Science Theater and Servo, and guy just lost it.
Guy got
lit up. He lit up
Did
like
he?
a
You
little
did?
happy kid.
See that?
That was a great show. Oh, my God. Nice to meet you.
It feels good, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah. When you do shit 30 years ago.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I know. Isn't it? It's weird because I lit up as well when I first met you. I was
That
like,
it wore
wait
off,
a minute, and then I was like, okay, I
Then you
get it.
dimmed.
But I mean, it's such a weird place to be because I am very appreciative of the people that loved Jeff the Talking Skeleton on the Late Late Show, but they don't like. For me, I think about it never. It's like something I really don't want to think about. But then you got to go, oh, that's great, thanks a lot. But when you're in the middle of a bit, playing like a preacher online doing the show, and you're in the middle of the thing, and you see somebody's comment that says, "Where's the robot?"
Right.
You know, that's why I don't read the comments anymore.
Yeah, the comments will throw you off your
You can't
flow.
do it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's the thing. I with the camera, you can't see the comments unless you look down at the app.
Right.
So I just disable them.
Speaking of flow, by the way, Mark, did you see in the New York Times today that there's a 130-some-year history of wedding announcements in the New York Times?
No, where was that?
On the New York Times Online, there's a feature. So I thought of you. So.
That's great.
You see? Because Mark T does them.
On Sundays, I do the New York Times wedding announcements.
overlooking the beautiful view.
Overlooking the view, and then everybody joins the group, all like 11 of them, and then we decide how many years the people will stay together. A couple will last.
I think they're going to last about 10 years. Yeah. I say 6.
Well, actually, the best part, and this has started to happen, is that Josh Mankiewicz, who's from Dateline NBC, comes on pretty regularly, and he, in each case, talks about how one will off the other. Every union is a murder waiting to happen.
That's great.
So that becomes the funny, And now the other people, again, those other 11 people, they have their own scenarios that are also murderous. So that's kind of cool. And that's the way that works. That's my little piece of the internet.
Mike Thompson Sundays on Periscope.
Yeah, you do your 10,000 Facebook. I have my 11 people. 12 if you can make it.
Murder Spin Club.
Oh, goody. I think the wife will murder the cat. Oh, that's great. Let's turn to the other page here. This is fun, Mark.
By the way, that's the voice I hear most of the people. It's either,
this is bullshit. I don't like your impressions anymore. You washed up. How about you give us something other than De Niro and Morgan Freeman?
or,
I know you hate this, but I so miss you and Craig. Oh, dear.
That's why I like Periscope. Facebook hits you over the head that's what those voices really are.
yeah, because you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of pain out there in the world.
It's a lonely, painful place. That's absolutely true.
Oh, Josh, now are you thinking about going live an extra day this week? Because I know you said Thursdays at 7:30, but I was wondering if maybe Tuesdays, and I noticed you need to refill your, in the Periscope, your paper towels are low, and
I mean, this is, Jesus, this is real, man.
I sent you a gift.
Now, this one woman was very sweet. There is a woman, honestly, there's this one woman, she's a great fan of mine. She's a lovely person, very sweet. She sent me, I don't know how, she got my home address and sent me a box of little mini bottles of booze, each individually wrapped for Christmas.
Huh.
And I didn't know what to...
Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean,
like self-sterilizing.
I kept them,
right?
but it's
It makes me feel bad because we really can't take things like that. But I certainly appreciated it.
Sure.
Well, we can't. There's no government ethics office. It's just sort of scary. That
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone sends you food or things like that, it's kind of, you can't really take it. I'm sure she's. Oh, did you just have a little sip? Because are you getting sleepy now?
Right.
Oh, Josh.
I have met some of the people who follow me on Periscope and participate, and they're all pretty cool.
Yeah, they are.
Say. No, I mean they really are. Like I haven't found the weird,
right, but there's 11
mobile
you can
home.
screen them individually.
It's true. It's a lot easier for me. They can fit into one car.
Right.
Yeah.
At the premiere for my pilot, we had a contest for I think 5 of the fans that could come if they were contributing to the Indiegogo, and it was like one of the perks.
Mm-hmm.
Win a trip to Los Angeles. No, there was no, Now, are you when you say win a trip now, what are we talking, coach or? But they were great. They were amazing people.
The Reverend character now, it seems to me like you've committed to that content more in an enduring way. When I first saw you were really hitting Morgan Freeman hard. And that was funny because you did the most mundane things in Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman goes grocery shopping.
Right.
Well, look at this. We've got the cookie aisle.
And that's fun. And
it's funny, yeah.
But inside, I'm going, oh, God, it's just kill me. I can't anymore.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, sort of Tom Servo and Jeff Peterson and that. I mean, it's kind of that same thing of like, I don't want to say F you to the audience, but you really, truly at some point have to just commit to what you want to do, because eventually, as evidenced by these numbers on Facebook Live, people will come around if it's good and they enjoy it. I feel much better now doing that character and the things I want to do, as opposed to just being the impression guy, because that's...
Are you with the Reverend like day and date, or have you like even thought of a story arc for him?
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, but I would like to get like he
seems
doesn't.
Like once you wrestle the devil in hell, you've kind of that
was
would have been the end of season 1.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I told everyone, look, I can't, because every episode I kept topping myself,
right?
And I thought, like, I really just want to get back to. I'm not going to be able to do this every week. It's a little bit much, but we do have like my friend John Mariano, who's a very, very funny guy, and I used to do a podcast with him. He's going to call in as Reverend Freddie Jenkins. That's another character that's a buddy of mine, and he's very funny. He does a lot of different characters, so he's sort of one of my, co-hosts or one of my players that will be a part of the show. But I think the Reverend works kind of by himself, because it's just free-flowing, off-the-cuff stream of consciousness. It's not really, there's no plan to it. I do have like a pile of puppets and some props, and then I just see what happens. But if it's 7:36 and I start late, there's always a group of people that are like, yeah, you're late again. Come on, give me my free entertainment. Let's go. That's the internet.
Love and scold.
It's a brilliant skill. I mean, to be able to pick up a puppet and like inhabit that character, and Josh talked about it, sort of the flow, that's just amazing. And I'm remembering on the Ferguson show, there were puppets and creatures there, because you ultimately were the puppet guy on that show.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff the Robot came a little. I was on the show for a while doing like Schwarzenegger and Morgan Freeman and De Niro, and then
they had like guest voices inhabiting that robot before you came along.
No,
right?
Craig did it for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Then he asked me if I would do it. And then,
how did you meet him again? Remind us.
Through public access TV, because one of the writers, Joe Struzzulo, who's now over at Jimmy Kimmel, very good friend of mine. He's the guy that was watching Reverend Apostle BG on public access television back in 2007 when I was doing the show out of Eagle Rock Public Access.
Right.
He emailed me, because we used to give out an email address, and he said, who are you? What else do you do? Have you ever heard of a show called The Late Late Show? And I was like, yeah, maybe. What else is a real dick, But that's how I started, because of Joe. That's how I connected to the Late Late Show. And then Craig had done sketches with me as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He would play Larry King, and I would play Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so he very casually said, Josh, would you like to do the robot? Maybe think about a voice, and then I'll get back to you, man. That was it. It was nothing. And then it sort of became this thing. The first year it was pre-recorded. So I came in every month and did a whole new batch of phrases, and then someone else operated the robot. I think it was Bob Oshak, another great writer. And then I started puppeteering it. But that was the training ground. I think that, for me, doing that for almost 4.5 years, just the robot, was a great training ground for what I do now on these live shows. Because I was also doing the phone calls. Craig would take phone calls on his old-timey phone.
Right.
And so I was puppeteering the robot as well as puppeteering the talking rhino head above the fireplace.
That was it, right.
That, and doing all the voices of the imaginary band behind the curtain that we never saw, but I did the voices of all the band members. So I got to create all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, honestly, on CBS at that time with Craig, for him to just sort of be like, let's do whatever. We didn't really care.
It was working. It was obviously working so well.
Yeah.
Did you have on that show? I know there were moments where you could meet a lot of big stars you rolled through, and that sort of thing. Did they facilitate those moments, or did you feel weird about those moments, or did you not want to insinuate yourself? And was there ever a moment that was like, ooh, that didn't go well?
No, well, it was mostly I didn't get to meet anyone because I had to be over in my little area before anybody else. Go stand behind a wall, asshole. All right, and I stood during the entire show. There wasn't like a booth or something. It was like right on the other side of the audience area.
Right.
People would look over. Sometimes these women, you'd see this. It was like, oh, Josh, is that you down there? Oh, honey, that's how he does it. Oh, that's it. Oh, and then you got to carry that with you throughout the whole show. But some people wanted to meet me. There were cases where, like Richard Lewis, I remember, was asking who is the guy that does the robot, and then someone came and brought me to the green room, and I got to meet him. That was amazing to me because he was like, "Wow, geez, so what do you like? You like I don't know, what do you like? Improv? You do like groundlings?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, okay, so he's one of these like super. You just like, oh, geez, wow, like he's really that's how he is." But it was such an honor to talk to him. But Carol Burnett, I think I may have mentioned that before, was the biggest one for me because she wanted to meet the guy who does the robot.
That's super cool. I don't remember that.
I was done. That was it for me. I was like, that's it. And she hugged me and said, you are part of a small group of people that have this ability and are able to do this. It was kind of like welcome to the club, I think is what she said.
Wow.
I mean, that was it for me. And I got to meet Don Rickles. Don Rickles apologized to me. Think about that. Because I used to screw with him as the robot, making fun of him during the show when he was a guest, but he didn't understand that there was somebody puppeteering this thing. He just thought it was some kind of a real robot that was being a dick.
Well, what kind of thing? What kind of thing would you say to Don Rickles?
Like he'd say, "How do you like that? A dummy was something about Mr. Potato Head." I don't know. There was a bunch of jokes that we had for him. There were a couple that the writers gave me to really, give it to Don, and he was like, "Oh, this dummy. How about the talking dummy over there? This is whatever he does, But a couple times he came back on the show, and then he wanted to meet me, and he said, "Listen, I'm sorry. I didn't know." He said, "How do you like that? A dummy puppeteering a dummy?" "No, I kid. You're a sweet kid. You're a good kid." And that meant a lot to me. It was really, to be insulted by Rickles is a high honor anyway, but he just wanted to let me know that he didn't understand that there was somebody doing that.
There is a
Very
phenomenon
sweet.
with just human beings and puppets too.
Yes,
where people can so easily disregard the person attached to a puppet.
It's true.
No matter their age. I mean, kids obviously do it, but
right.
But it's a weird human phenomenon that it's like, no, it's a puppet.
Right. No,
you are talking to the puppet.
And career-wise, I learned that the really hard way after the Late Late Show ended, and I couldn't get any work, and people were like, "We don't know. No, where's the robot? We don't know who you are."
Right.
But I was starting to realize that for me, I know who all the Muppet performers are, for example. I've always known all their names since I was a kid.
Right.
But that's something I'm interested in.
Me too. Yeah.
Right. Bill Beretta is, I think, one of the great. He's been around for a while now, but he does Pepe the Prawn and Bobo the Bear, and Johnny Fiamma. He's the guy. He's incredible. He's a very funny guy. Now, if Bill was like, "Hey guys, Bill Beretta talk show coming to ABC," people would be like, "Who's this for? Who's this guy?
Right.
Where's Pepe? Or where's Gonzo? You know what I mean?" So it's like that kind of thing, and I get it, but it was important for me to get away from that because you can't always people think "Why don't you just get Jeff the Robot and go on tour?" And I'm like, you want to see the saddest tour in your life? I can make that happen.
That's a great visual.
I just see a tent, a tent revival, 2 people in there.
Glug, 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 glug.
All right, next question.
Hey, what was it like working with Craig? It was fine. Oh my God, you're such a dick. It's hard for people, man. I get it. It's also hard for the other person that was the puppeteer. It's a weird thing, man. But it's all good. I mean, like I said, 2015 was bad news. 2016 was like getting the show out there, and I feel great now.
No, I mean,
you seem way back from the edge from last time I saw you.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, look, all I know is that you're hitting stride, getting the tipping point, a momentum, whatever the word is, but you're there now. It's really cool to see it. I mean, and a lot of hard work went into it. Like, a lot of creative energy and also the hard work. You do all this shit where you figure out how to, you've always been this way. That since I've known you in the short time I've known you.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Chewbacca Mom gets her own show on TLC. So, I mean, I'm over here. Hey, y'all. So I just went shopping at Kohl's. Check this out. And I know I'm not supposed to do this. Anyway, look at this. Ah! Wow. But that's how it goes.
That one bugs you in a special way. I could tell.
It's funny to me.
I
think saying it's Chewbacca Mom's America now is funny to me. That's very. I think that says everything about a lot of things. But that's always been that. That's always been the case. What are you going to do? Get a Chewbacca mask. The
kind of white trash America, they're the ones who have the shortest distance to their own show on.
And the White House.
Mark was.
Well, now, I wasn't. Now, some of our listeners are staunch supporters.
Yes. That's
Thanks to me bringing on Diamond and Silk a million jillion fucking times.
We brought Diamond and Silk on. You know Diamond and Silk.
Diamond and Silk, yeah.
They've been repeat visitors here.
Didn't I talk to them as Morgan Freeman?
Oh, my God, yes. That was a great conversation.
Because I was a Trump supporter or something?
If you haven't, you ought to go back and listen to that. Josh Robert Thompson talking to Diamond and Silk. Now, Morgan Freeman is actually the guy who did, in real life, the commercials for Hillary Clinton. He narrated them.
That's true.
So we talked to Diamond and Silk. We said, oh, my God, Morgan Freeman's here. Ladies, it's a real, but now let's not have any disagreement because he's a Hillary. Mr. Morgan Freeman, it's good to meet you.
That's right.
And you.
That's very good. Let me try my Diamond and Silk. I've got one here. Now, listen here, you. Not bad, right?
I was being very careful.
God, and
listen here, you.
Listen here, you.
Do you ever go back and look at the old Tonight Show? When you're knocking around YouTube?
Oh no, I got them all. I've got them all.
Yeah.
I got all the box sets.
Right.
I got everything. I got the Carol Burnett, the complete series, Red Skelton, got it all. But Johnny, they just started recently, a few years ago. They really started putting out full shows.
Red Skelton personally once warned me about working blue.
Really?
Yes, he did in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yes.
Now that's great. That's amazing.
I was working at a club in air quotes. It was a hotel bar doing one nighter.
Hey, folks.
But Red Skelton was in town doing the Civic Center next door to the same hotel. And he had come in like 3 days or 4 days early for the show in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and was running around with a camcorder, like a VHS camcorder. This was
hey, look here, kids. Ooh.
And they were like in the club. They were like warning us, don't swear during your act, because Red Skelton might walk in.
Right.
Just on the off chance that Red Skelton walks into the bar, don't do your regular act. Was basically what they were telling us.
What's he going to shut down the bar?
He was going to be offended somehow.
Wow.
And in fact, he didn't come in during the show, but he did. He met me in the lobby.
Oh,
I told him I was a
and
comedian.
chastised.
I hope you aren't working.
Oh, I hope you are.
Oh, I hope you are.
Oh, I hope not.
No.
Oh,
there's no need for that.
Well, Josh,
give
clearly,
me a fucking martini.
Clearly, Mr. Skelton did not have much of an impression on you because you are the master of the F-bomb.
Really? You think that's my rep?
I
really
think
the master of the F?
It's your rep on this show.
If it could be my rep, I would actually take that. Master of the F-bomb.
But I don't think that using the F word makes you someone who works blue.
No, I'm on a podcast.
No, but my point is that it's the two things are different. Am I right?
Well, yes. I mean, I would say that in Red Skelton's world, using the F-bomb makes you blue.
Right. But in this world, it does not make
But there was a woman yesterday who was arguing with me during my Twitter fun that I was having.
Talking about my son, Barron. He's a great boy.
And she said, well, you should... She said, you're making fun of Chewbacca Mom. At least she works clean. That's what decent Americans want. And then, of course, I quietly listed about 10 comics, legendary comics, male and female, who work so-called blue and are massively successful. So
my grandparents hip enough to have gone to see Lenny Bruce perform, unhip enough to have the only review be, he was filthy.
I didn't like that.
That's always wild when somebody goes to a show that's clearly going to be filthy.
Right, exactly. I don't even know what city they saw
That's
him
the
in,
problem.
but-
That's what happens. I'm going to go on Facebook Live. This guy is playing a preacher character, and I'm going to let him know after the show that he needs to stop doing this.
Right.
Or during the show.
But one of the things you do, and you did it with Schwarzenegger, where you start like mainstream Schwarzenegger, and then it clicks over slowly, and you realize, wait a minute, this is and then it gets all the way over, so it's clear. You do the same thing with the preacher. Seems like the preacher, like if you catch it early, you go, okay, everything seems like I'm in for the ride, and then all of a sudden you hear the preacher use like the F word or something, and you go, wait a minute.
Yeah, because there's like a beautiful fireplace behind me, and it's like, welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're here, and I know we have troubles in our lives. Do you have troubles in your life? Do you have this is my running bit. Do you have troubles in your life? Do you have troubles with your wife? Did you come home one day and your wife was getting double teamed by your gardeners? When you said you was going to be back home and you came home early and that bitch was sitting there getting railed by these Mexicans. That didn't happen to me. I'm saying if that happened to you, call now, you stupid bitch. It's very people get very excited about that. They want to know every week how Apostle's wife has wronged him. I have to keep coming up with horrible ways.
And he's still with her.
He is still with her. We did discover last week when he went to hell that his ex-wife is down there. Oh. And that was me operating a mixer at the same time, bringing in Halloween sounds like scary music, and then also playing video of Donald Trump accepting the win. I just got off the phone with Secretary Clinton. So I have to take the camera while I'm in hell with these lights that look like flames and spin the camera around to my laptop to get a close-up of Trump with the creepy music. And the effect was awesome.
To do the video Phil Henry, basically.
That's exactly what it is.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's imperfect. Everything's always fucking up. Like, something won't work, and that's why it's funny, because I'll go, God damn it, and I'm always talking to Jerry off camera who doesn't exist.
Right.
But it's a tribute to my friend Raymond Chavez Jr., who's a guy that I did public access TV with for 10 years. And he passed away very suddenly in September, just as we were getting ready to do these Reverend shows again. Once again, we were about to do it. Because Apostle BG is based on our old boss that we had together at Adelphia Cable, Bill Green. He was from Tennessee. He's a real guy.
Like that.
Best boss I ever had. He'd say, hey, man, get in my office right now and shut the door, man. I need to talk to you. And as soon as you'd shut the door, he'd go, that's pretty good, wasn't it, man? How you doing, man? What you been up to, man? You look thin, man. You got to start eating, man. All right, man, listen, I'm going to be out of town for a couple of days on business. Put that in quotes. I mean, he was the guy that let me go and start doing voice auditions. And in fact, he's the guy that said, if you don't quit, I'm going to fire you because you don't need to work here anymore. I know that you have to go off and do your thing now. This is out in Ontario, California.
Wow. What a great figure to have.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I saw him for the first time in 10 years, unfortunately, at Raymond's funeral in October. And we just picked up right where we left off. And we were both going, damn it, Raymond. The hell you doing dead, man? Get your ass up out of there, man. We just all these jokes. But Raymond was 35 years old. He was very young, but he was my producer. He was instrumental in making those shows. And I was always yelling at him off camera. I always loved that idea. This goes back to Cleveland late night horror movie shows with Big Chuck and Little John and Superhost. There was always camera number 2. Goulardi would do that. Yeah. Goulardi famously would do that. Camera number 2. Whoa, cool it over. He was always talking, but it was always we never got to see who. So I carried that tradition.
Came to our show in Cleveland when we did Cinematic Titanic.
Ernie Anderson.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was in what 90?
No, 2000.
Oh, right.
2008.
Oh,
Cinematic Titanic.
You mean Ron Swede? Young.
Was it not Svengoolie? No, that was Svengoolie, Chicago.
Yeah, because Goulardi died in 97.
Oh, then I'm thinking of some other Cleveland horror legend.
It's another
guy.
Goulardi. It's like son of Ghoul or the Ghoul. But because Ernie Anderson was the voice of ABC, tonight on the Love Boat.
On the Love Boat.
Yeah, that was Ernie, And so all that Ernie and Tim Conway had their comedy album, which I have. And that all that sort of camera too, all of that. Hey, now it's Jerry, the guy that I'm always yelling at. So when anything goes wrong on my show, I just get very angry for real because I'm pissed off that it's not working. But I'll just go, God damn it, Jerry. What'd I tell you, man? Put that hoagie down and get to work. And people love it. Then they get pissed off when there's no Jerry.
They build
Do
their
send
own
Jerry
world.
little bottles of booze as well.
Yeah. Oh, I thought Jerry. Yeah, maybe I should say, hey, guys, now Jerry also has an Amazon wish list. So if you want to send him stuff, too. People are very nice, though. I have to say, the fans are really, really generous, lovely people. Not only because they helped out with Indiegogo and all that stuff, but just because the audience is growing and building, and they're really starting to share these things with people. And they send me all kinds of stuff from this Amazon wish list that I do not have printed anywhere. I don't tell people to send me things, but they do, and I just think it's really cool. It's an amazing new era of performance.
Let me understand something. You have an Amazon wish list, or you do not have an Amazon wish list?
I do, but I'm saying Jerry should have one as well.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I can get double the amount of things.
So when they go
but
to
you're saying you never go, if you want to go to my Amazon wish list.
Never.
I see.
I just think that's for the porn star girls on
So
Periscope.
you're saying if I go to Amazon, I go put in Josh Robert Thompson. Is that how the wish list works?
That's right.
And then I can
I don't have a
see
wish
your
list.
wish list.
Hypothetically, Mark and folks at home listening, if you were to go to Amazon and type in Josh Robert Thompson wish list, because otherwise you're just going to see a lot of the things I've done, like my film Nowhere Girl and maybe an episode of Angel from Hell that I was in with Jane Lynch. This is beside the point.
Jane Lynch is pretty talented, huh?
Jane Lynch is so wonderful to work with, and I was so excited to do that show with her. I mean, unfortunately, it's not on the air anymore, but we shot for 2 days on the Paramount lot, and this was like my first really big sort of sitcom. I had never done anything like that before.
You're a main character in a sitcom.
Yeah, and it was really fun. And she personally added some scenes with the writers for me to do, which I thought was really nice because I was able to.
They weren't filmed, but still.
They didn't film them. I thought that was odd.
But it was nice
it was it's true. It was in the hallway. I don't know, but they assure me that somewhere.
If it had only gone that extra season, we would have had a chance.
But it got canceled before my episode aired, which is just so beautiful.
So gross.
It's just, I love it. And then they dumped the show off on Saturdays and said, we'll burn out the rest of them. Like
that is gross.
But it was great. It was an awesome, I really loved working with her. And she remembered me from the Late Late Show.
Oh, that's cool. I used to, I know her from voiceover. We used to just do voiceover. She was a voiceover actress.
Again, not recorded.
Not
It
again.
would just be something we did.
She would come over and we would read the newspaper together.
Yeah, but what I know is that, like, 40-Year-Old Virgin, she was in that. You'll be able to appreciate this because I know you do all this shit, like look at all the DVD extras and shit that I do.
Yeah.
They talked about the fact that they improv'd a bunch of the scenes in 40-Year-Old Virgin and they just kind of let it go and they grabbed what they wanted. This is the only person who never ran out. To go for 10 minutes and then everybody's out, but she keeps firing.
Yeah.
Jane Lynch, they said she goes for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, like there's no end to her, and it's all funny.
Yeah, it's true. That's why we went into Golden Time and got a lot of
talented person. Could you get her on our podcast? It just occurs to me.
I love that. That's my favorite question. My favorite
So
thing.
you do know her? Could you get in touch with her right now?
People email me and go, hey, great show. Now, Craig Ferguson, do you guys you hanging out, or what's he up to?
I don't have an Amazon wish list, but I do have a wish list, and Jane Lynch is the only thing on it.
Yeah, no, I can do that for you. What are you mad for? If you were more grateful, had somebody say to me, all the networks are watching your scopes. You better be careful. All the networks. Wow, that's intense.
That's terrific.
We've seen one of your scopes, and we'd like to report you're no longer invited to the party.
Get me Josh Robert Thompson.
Someone said,
this is the president of show business. I just saw your scope.
I just did that today. Hollywood's calling. It was, hello, Josh. I love that we're all miming the phone to our head. No one can see it. Hello, Josh. This is Hollywood calling. We noticed that you had, because some woman said, Josh, you got 30 million hearts now on Periscope. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Josh, this is Hollywood. We notice you have 30 million hearts. We'll now see your show. Come meet with us. Nobody knows what that means.
On Periscope, you can leave hearts if you tap the screen. I deliberately obsess about the hearts because I know they're so meaningless.
It's so meaningless.
That makes it more fun. I say I'm all about the hearts. That's the only thing that matters to me is the hearts.
Winning tickets at Chuck E. Cheese has more meaning than the hearts. You can trade that in for something.
Right, that's a value. But I will say that when I'm on Periscope, when I get those hearts, it does.
Oh, it's approval. It's approval.
They
makes
love
it work for me.
Brown hearts and green hearts and purple hearts.
Josh Robert Thompson has left Periscope in the rear view. He's now all about Facebook Live. If you haven't friended him or connected him.
Well, we're moving on up.
People get so mad about that.
How can you abandon us here? We built this.
I will say this, and I'm going to share this publicly for the first time. Okay. I am very close to someone who is extremely close to the world of social networks, and I'm told Periscope is absolutely over, and it is Facebook Live.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but they're prying Periscope out of my cold dead hands. But I do understand that Facebook Live's the future.
Twitter had almost 2 years to make something of this app, and nothing has happened with it. Nobody knows what it is. A very small number of people. About a month ago, it went from ranked as number 25 or something on the list of iOS apps to 487.
Wow.
So, they could come back, though.
30 million hearts, though, Josh.
What can we do with those hearts, though? Anything, Josh?
Can you show Netflix or Hulu?
That's right.
Hi, Hulu. Yeah, this is Josh Robert Thompson. I have 30 million hearts on Periscope.
You can trade them in for a felt banana at the counter.
And shove it up your ass.
That's right.
Isn't that very telling, though, about this era of everybody's a star, everybody's incredible, everybody should get a show? I mean, the people are so excited about the concept that Periscope made up, which has no meaning about hearts, and they're just thrilled about it.
This is my theory about this generation, that once you separate fame and fortune and abandon fortune, fame is pretty easily attainable.
You're right.
People
right.
can find, they can get all the trappings of fortune now by, there's a driver at your disposal from your phone, and there's all these things.
Yeah, that's true.
But fame is this separate entity that's not attached to fortune anymore.
It's true, because it's like, hey, my cousin did a video, did his Morgan Freeman, got 80 billion views, so yours sucks. And then you're like, well, let me hear it. Here, let me play it for you. Hello, this is Morgan Freeman. But it's also because that's, what people like to see, I think. Not everyone, but there's a large number of people that like to see people that are as bad at impressions, for example, as they are, and it makes them feel comfortable. For some reason, if someone's really good at something, they get upset about it. And I'm not telling people you suck. I'm just doing something to entertain you. But there is that thing of like, yeah, well, Chuck's 15 years old too, and his is better. And so
that's how things like Borat propagate through the world. Is because everyone sees the other dude doing Borat. And
that's
right. The green light is on.
Did you hear Bill? He does, Austin Powers. It's great. I mean, we had to hear that for
right.
I mean, every guy was doing the Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. I can't even deal with it.
I remember when John Lovitz was on the heat of the SNL thing and doing The Liar.
Right.
Yeah, Morgan.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
That's the ticket.
Everybody's doing that.
Everybody. My dad.
Josh, that's the ticket.
Rob Schneider did the Xerox guy. The guy.
Making copies.
Yeah, it's like,
that's
oh
my
my
whole
God.
high school. That's like
exactly
because it became like. What it is, like in theater in high school, it was like, well, we know Josh is good at this stuff and makes dumb little shows in his basement out of cardboard sets. But Chuck over there does an amazing Garth impression. Do it, Chuck. Yeah, top that, Josh. And then you're like, I don't have anything. Whatever. I'm like doing John Carradine,
I can do a John Carradine.
Well, we don't even know what that is. Get out of here. And those people won. So, folks, here we are.
Those people are the network executives that I'm pitching.
That's right.
Yes.
Do your impression of Garth with someone's dick in someone's mouth. That's
great. Yeah. Josh Robert Thompson, 70 billion views for his Garth with dick and mouth impression. He's been offered a job at NBC as the president. Unbelievable.
Oh.
In other news.
Well, Josh Robert Thompson, we love you. We love all the different yous.
Thank you so much, guys.
Now,
I appreciate it.
You do have a podcast.
I do, yeah.
Don't you? What's that called?
Well, it's called, I'm just waiting. It's called Joshin' Around.
Right.
I made the title when I was in a tough spot in my life.
I love that title.
Hey, you better do.
Wait a minute. Oh, I hate that title. I knew it was one or the other.
Yeah, as a Josh, that's a bad title.
I'm sorry, man. I apologize. It's what I had.
It's
Josh Around.
Is it doing yourself home improvement type show?
Yeah, it is.
That's
That's right. Yeah,
Joshing around.
SoundCloud and iTunes. I do it. Whenever.
What's it called, really, though?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Says the host of The Edge.
Yeah. Let me tell you. I'll tell you
The
know
Edge
why we call
Radio.
The Edge.
No, I don't.
Why?
Because originally the show was supposed to be a show about a gambling edge that you could get. It came out of gambling.
Okay.
And then
that's
let's introduce a travel element. So it'll be the edge on getting a good deal on travel and vacation. It came from that. And then I said, well, but this is way too much trouble. Blah, blah, blah. Can't we just do a general talk show? But we'd already tied up all these, so we just called it The Edge. So literally that's how it happened.
It makes more sense now.
Yeah, but we were going to use joshing around, but we didn't know you were
dare
going
you?
to be on the show.
How dare you? Hi there, this is The Edge, and
Missing the mark.
the title of our new album is called Joshing Around.
Marking the spot.
Oh, making a mark.
Wow.
That's right.
Oh.
What else, Josh? What else is there? What else do
love
I
it.
got?
Did you
I
get
love
people trying to rhyme it with Oshkosh? When you were a
Yeah.
kid? That's
Was
it.
everyone going,
That's it.
joshing around? I love that.
Yes.
They were like, yeah, okay. I'm not going to listen to it because you're not a celebrity, and those are the only people that listen to the podcast. No, Josh, yeah, but it was Oshkosh Bajosh.
Right. There's not a lot of ammo there with Josh, I find.
But there was then the Garbage Pail Kids had because when you got a Garbage Pail Kid card, you always looked through the pack for your name. Sloshed Josh,
Yeah.
but I felt that wasn't their strongest.
No, it's not.
It was a kid inside of a Coke bottle going, "Hey, I'm suffocating to death.
Get me."
Oh, by the way, I'm looking at CNN. Here's the debate: Trumpism. Is it big league or is he saying bigly? Yeah, we're done. We're going to hell.
Well, here's
I
why
think we
that
settled
shit
that.
is
Wow.
it's just so. That's what we talk about
That's
now.
to
It's not
distract.
about the pipeline. It's not about the environmental
Tell you what I'm
protection.
going to do. I'm going to write it out on a dry erase board, and I will hold it up during my address to the nation. I will show you. It's bigly. Thank you.
The good, the bad, and the bigly. Sorry, I'm looking at a T-shirt that's now for sale. I have made a terrible error in my life.
I can only imagine Jeannie Mose's fucking voice underneath this.
Jeannie Moose. Good times, Mark T.
We love you, JRT.
Good times,
Really
J.
do.
Elvis.
Really do. Thank you.
J-E-W. Oh,
Yes,
I get
exhibit.
I
Now you get it.
I get it.
He's at J. Elvis Weinstein on Twitter. He is at
Josh R. Thompson on Twitter.
Josh R. Thompson.
Actually, just go to the JRTshow.com.
Oh, the JRTshow.com.
Your one-stop shop for Josh
The
Nostradamus.
JRTshow.com.
The JRT Show.
The JRT Show.
Everyone does it. They don't put the. By the way, just so you know, I have been here at the studio this entire time since my last appearance because last time I couldn't find my car when I left.
It is a difficult life. It is really tough.
It's the triple helix.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really didn't know.
And the GPS doesn't work because you're underground.
I started questioning my life and, it's just a lot of things changed for me. So
Well.
thanks for having me back, fellas.
Love you, Josh. Josh Robert Thompson, everybody. Come on. Josh.
Hi, it's Robin Super here. Listen to past episodes and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. Stitcher to get future episodes. Or check out their website, edge-show.com.
edge-show.com.
The hyphen is stupid.